Listen, everyone, it is super important in this moment that we spread the awareness of domestic violence and abuse. Some of us think that we're not affected by it, and that's probably because we done went through it and didn't even realize it. So I want to encourage you all to research domestic violence and abuse. If you are a survivor, I'm here to celebrate with you because I'm a survivor as well. I also want to encourage those who have been following my broadcasts or my pages. Please be a part of the movement. This movement is not just restricted to me and my sorors. It is for the community as well. So let's spread the awareness of domestic violence together. Hi, everyone. I hope all is well with you. So this is the third edition of Royal Empowerment concerning domestic violence awareness. I want to first give a shout out to my 4th grade class. I want to say hello to you all. Thank you for supporting my channel. I hope you all can take something good from my broadcast. Now, I want to continue this discussion concerning domestic violence. I want to let y'all know, this year is the first time I've ever really went public about, advocating concerning domestic violence, advocating against domestic violence, that is. Also, sharing parts of my story with the public. And it has been a very interesting learning experience for me. One of the things that I've learned this year so far, particularly when I went to the domestic violence fundraiser, in which I'm going to share what I said at the fundraiser at the end of this video. But one of the things that I have learned is that there are men that go through domestic violence as well. And it's really a tricky situation for them at times because, men can be afraid to mention it because they don't want to be treated as if they were a coward, because of the woman doing things to them. They're expected to suck it up and take it. And I don't agree that anybody, whether it be a man or a woman, should take physical or emotional abuse from anybody. A lot of times when we speak of domestic violence, we're most likely, I would say most likely, a lot of people would, envision a woman going through a domestic situation with a man. We see it a lot in movies when we watch some movies and that situation occur. And this is not to make light, take lightly what women go through, but it's also to shed light on what men go through. So I learned that, again, men have dealt with it, as well. And many of them won't speak up because they don't want to deal with what other people would think of them for going through that situation. And if it helps any man that looks at this broadcast, I don't think it makes you less of a man to walk away from a situation that's damaging you on the inside. So I would just encourage anybody, man or woman, if you are in a situation where your significant other is really giving you a hard time, they're disrespecting you, they are saying things to affect you on a emotional and mental level, yes, you need to come out of that situation, because people that do things like that most likely has unresolved trauma in their life. They may have went through a bad relationship that causes them to take out their frustrations on their new partner. They may have grown up in a toxic environment and they take out their frustrations on their partner. You know, maybe the parents were absent from their life, and it could be anything that causes a trauma where a person tries to fill that void, but the way they go about doing it when it involves hurting someone else is called abuse, you know? And so it's important to understand these things. So statistics wise, when, you know, these situations were looked at a lot closer, and you could look at various domestic violence sources to confirm what I'm saying, abusers have dealt with, they most likely have dealt with some type of trauma in their lives, okay? They most likely have dealt with something. Who knows? It could just be simply rejection. They may not have gone through, you know, domestic violence per se. That could be a reason. It could be that they've dealt with rejection as a child. Nobody want to be bothered with them. So they get into a relationship and they try to control the other person to feel powerful. And what people have to understand is that when you try to control someone else, it does not mean you are powerful. That means you're weak. Because if you're trying to control someone else, that means you're lacking something, and you feel that the other person has to cater to you for you to feel good about yourself. And that's the thing that goes on with an abuser. When an abuser hurts someone, it is because they have a deficiency about their self-worth, about their self-esteem. They have some insecurities going on, and they project their insecurities on the partner to make them feel like they're in control. If they can make somebody subject to them, make somebody cry after them, or cater to them, then they feel powerful. And that's actually the signs of a weak person. You want to feel powerful? Live your best life. You want to feel powerful? Love yourself. You want to feel powerful? Confront those things that truly do hurt you, and come up with a way to resolve those issues without hurting someone else, without hurting your family, without hurting your friends, without hurting people that try to be helpful to you. The only way I can see an abuser being a hero in a situation resulting in domestic violence is that they become adult enough, they man up, or they woman up enough to go get some help. You know, go seek spiritual help, go seek clinical help, go do the best that you can to find ways of getting help to heal so that you won't go around hurting people. It's a saying out there that says hurting people hurt people. And that's true. In a lot of cases, you got some people that hurt and they don't say nothing, they deal with it, but eventually, if they don't deal with it, they start to hurt people. I also want to express that the basic question you should ask, if you are questioning your relationship, you wonder if it's a good relationship, you wonder if it's toxic or not, is it something that's going to be good for you in the long run? A toxic relationship will not be good for you in the long run. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean that you and your significant other won't have disagreements. It's okay to have certain disagreements, but something that is toxic is usually where one person, it could be one or both, but for the person that's getting the short end of the stick in the relationship, you're the one that's always stressed out. You're the one that's always miserable. You're the one that's always on the receiving end of being disrespected, mentally, emotionally abused. That's a relationship where it's not balanced, you know, and that is where it's toxic for you to deal with. And so, again, the number one question is that I want y'all to be able to ask yourself, Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells with this person all the time? Okay. Do you feel like this person have you walking on eggshells? And that means, do you feel like you have to avoid saying certain things because this person might do something? So when you ask yourself that question, next, ask yourself why. If your why is, I just don't know how this person will feel about it, then you may just need to talk, that out with that person, depending on what it is. But if your why is because you're afraid of this person tends to yell and scream, they might not even listen to me at all, they're just going to ignore me, things like that, then you're in a toxic relationship. And I'm going to tell you, if you already been dealing with that, it's not going to get any better. And a lot of people don't come at you this way that I'm coming at you. And I know, because I wish somebody would have told me that sooner. Somebody told me that after I had went through the process of leaving that relationship, saying that if you go back to it, it's not going to get better. And so I'm here to tell you, when you're in a toxic relationship with a person that is toxic, a person that feels that he or she can do and say whatever it is to you, and you got to take it if you want to stay with them, that's toxic. And that person have to understand something called morals. They have to understand that you are a human being and you have to stand up for yourself. So again, if the reason why you're walking on eggshells with this person is because you are afraid of them, you are in a toxic relationship. And the best thing for you to do is leave. But do all things with prayer and guidance from God so that you can be safe. Okay? So I wanted to share those pieces of information. I'm going to go deep on the consequences of staying in a abusive relationship too long, and that is going to be in my next broadcast. Okay? And it's important to understand that when you leave an abusive relationship, that experience that you have is not going to go away overnight. You're not going to wake up the next day and be like, oh, I don't feel affected by it. No, you can wake up the next day and be out the situation. But because of the time that you invested being with that person, it could have a long-term effect on how you feel when you think about relationships. Some people, they jump into a relationship real quick because they think it's going to make them feel better, only to realize they're carrying trauma from the last relationship. And it's best when you leave an abusive relationship or a relationship that you've been hurt. It's best when you leave that relationship, give yourself time to heal, to rethink your life, to get yourself together, to recuperate, to heal in your heart so that you won't go into the next relationship hurting someone else. Because when you leave one relationship where you don't put your feelings out there and stuff like that, you're not going to have feelings for that next person right then and there. Because a lot of times we want that new person to have some type of similarity to the other person. And it may, and if it's an abuser, you don't want that similarity. But whatever it is that you liked about that person, you might want to see it in the new person. So that's why you need to heal so that when you do meet a new person, whether it be a new man if you are a woman or a new woman if you are a man, when you do meet someone else, they can get a good start with you. They can get a fresh start with you, and you don't have to put your baggage on them. Okay? So at this point, I am going to share with you what I've spoke to the audience at the Stop the Violence fundraiser. And I will see you in my next broadcast. God bless you.
Because this is my passion. A lot of times when we go through things in life, look at the negative and we don't understand the purpose in it. And I want to let all of you know, no one has the right to tell you that you're not important, that you're not valuable, to tell you who you are, to give you a name, to give you a label that's less than what God has intended for you to have. So I want y'all to understand that. Now, when we talk about domestic violence, I want y'all to know domestic violence starts normally with domestic abuse. And I want you to understand how this works. Because a lot of times, and I'm going to speak for myself, when I would hear domestic violence, I'm thinking about the hitting part. I'm thinking about the fighting part. But the problem is, we can shut these things down if we recognize these symptoms at its early stages. All right? And a lot of us, I want to just assume there's some of us in this room that like to go on dates. We like to meet people. Sometimes we feel vulnerable. And sometimes we'll settle. And I can say this because I have been there. I have been in a relationship that was very toxic, highly dangerous for over a year and 4 months. And that was a very trying time of my life. And the reason why I can say domestic violence really starts off as domestic abuse, because when you're in a vulnerable spot, what you do is when this person says something that's a red flag, when a person starts throwing little shade or having outbursts, that person can have a mental problem. Okay, and I want you to know abusers need help too. The problem with abusers is that they're afraid to get help because of the stigma about mental health. Abusers, most of the time, are people who have dealt with trauma. There are people who have dealt with trauma at some point in their lives. Likewise, survivors and victims are also in the same category at times. With my story, I have been on both ends of domestic violence. I have been a recipient of it as a child, and I've also been a recipient of it as an adult. And if we take more time to love and respect ourselves, when somebody comes to us with that foolishness, we're going to shut it down. You want to solve domestic violence? You want to make it one less person that has to call the police to get some help? Learn to respect yourself. Before these abusers to go do what they have to do, to go get the help, get the work that they need to work on, then we can have a better place to live. You can have a place to go home to. All right, this is serious. And you have to know that this stuff starts off small. It starts off very small. And what happened with me, this person that I had encountered, he, I believe, has mental issues. All right, and he would have outbursts. And then because I was in a vulnerable spot, I was just like, a little bit better. He'll come around if I just keep treating him with love and kindness and things like that. I know you don't have to raise your hand, but we've been with some people that, we just want to keep giving them chances because we believe the best about them. And you can, but when it's something that's beyond you, you have to do it from afar. You have to do it from afar because your life is in jeopardy. All right? And we make the mistake of trying to fix somebody by staying in it too long. And so again, abuse starts off very small. When you're in the dating phase, that person is not going to show you all of them. They're not going to show you the trauma at first. Because if they did it at first, of course, we wouldn't even go for that relationship. Now, after we go through the dating phases, then this person is attached to us emotionally, and now they know we'll do crime about anything for them. If they call us by our name, we'll just take a deep breath and back off, or take a little hiatus or whatever. We'll walk off, cool off, and we come back to the same mess. Now, I don't want to be long-winded, so let me go ahead and move forward. So when it came down to it, this person, when he started verbally and emotionally abusing me, I started becoming an MF word. That's how it started. One of the ways it started, he had his little outburst, but one time he got mad, and I was an MF word, and it was another person outside of his situation that influenced him to get angry, and he would project it on me, and that's what abusers do. So eventually, he got comfortable because I still overlooked the foolishness. Because I should have got called the enough word in the first place. But then it started coming to the stupid B word. Stupid B word. And then, still, another chance, dumb B. I done went to different divisions of B's. And this person got comfortable. So you see how that's domestic abuse. That's domestic abuse. Some people like, oh, just names don't hurt me. That is domestic abuse. That is verbal, that is mental, that is emotional. It got to a physical part when this person got so comfortable with me, he thought he could leave days at a time, weeks at a time, come back, tear up the home, things like that. And so what ended up happening, he had got so comfortable with disrespecting me that he thought that he could tell me that he was doing other things with other people. Even strong women can become victims of domestic violence. But I was strong enough when I saw that open, because even when it was an incident where he pushed the door on me and then later on he shoved his fingers in my face, I wanted to fight back, but I knew I could go to jail or he could hurt me. And I didn't want either of it. But it came a breaking point that when I seen that he thought he was so smart that he was just going to walk away and thought he was going to come back, I knew then this was not for me. You got to love yourself so much that no matter who it is that's stealing your happiness, they got to go and take a back seat to your happiness if they're bringing you unhappiness. Remember, this was leading up to something that could have been dead because he started putting his hands on you. And when you stay, you're saying it's okay. And it was a special person during that period that was like, if you go back to it, it's only going to get worse. And that was the best piece of wisdom that I had. So I want to let you know, love yourself enough to know what's best for you. Don't let people treat you any type of way. Don't let people treat you any type of way that you start accepting it, you start overlooking it, you start bypassing it. If they're bold enough to disrespect you, if they're bold enough to treat you any type of way, you got to be bold enough to shut it down. Because sometimes it's unfortunate that you got to sometimes sting some people or let them know, and when I can sting, I don't mean physically, but sometimes removing your presence from their life, going silent on them when they're disrespectful, will change the game. I am here to specialize into helping people get their power back. And that's what I came here to do. And I want you to get your power back so that Dr. Davis and a nonprofit organization, they don't have to stress about getting so many grants to cover so many people. We don't have to worry about our officers having to get up in the middle of the night or quit in their lunch break to go and solve a domestic violence issue. So I want us to be active and making it better by respecting ourselves. Because if we respect ourselves enough to walk away from the abuser, then the abuser has no one to beat on. Bless you all. Again, if you want to know more about my ministry, I am prettydoc.com, and I am doing the I Am Warrior movement. It is to inspire you and to help you recognize who you are. Because the more you recognize who you are, you are less likely to let somebody come and disrespect you and pull you into a relationship that could possibly take your life.